I messed around on New Jersey Transit, so spend a day out along the line wherever I happen to wind up. Leaving Hoboken on train 1159 to Glen Rock. Got the CNJ pulling us, 4109. See if there's anything interesting sitting here in Hilliard. There was nothing noteworthy on this side of the train, but on the opposite side, in the Hoboken engine terminal, you can see the forlorn 4202, the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Line's GP40 PH-2B, coupled to a GP40-24301. That engine was recently shopped. Yeah, I'm looking at both sides to see if there's anything interesting either here or the storage yard. First of all, I want to congratulate Nick the Quick, who was promoted to a road foreman. He says the 4202, the PRSL engine, had issues over the weekend, but I know it ran on 1276 last night. Well, we're about to see the 4202. Sitting over there is not a good sign. Yeah, the last time I heard the horn on the 4109, it sounded terrible, weak, asthmatic. But since then they put a new horn on it. From what I've heard so far, it sounds pretty good. We'll get to listen to it a little bit. There are a number of crossings on the Bergen County coming into Rutherford. Sounds good. You can make out that bronze bell. Back in March of 2025, I went to Hoboken on a warm afternoon, and I saw the 4109, and I was aghast at the deplorable sound of the horn that I heard from that thing. And I posted the video and kind of bitched like hell about the sound of that horn. But about a week or so later, they refitted it with a nice K5LA, like the one you're hearing right now. Maybe the people in the diesel shops at Meadows, maybe I have some influence on them. Who knows? I'm always praising the magnificent work that they do to keep these 50-plus-year-old EMDs running. Yeah, those mechanics do wonders with these old EMD warriors, but their age is catching up to them. They're trying their darndest to keep them running. The 4210 Erie Heritage Unit was recently shopped, as well as the 4202 that you just saw. But happily, the CNJ 4109, the Bluebird 4101, and the Conrail 4208 were performing mightily on the state. You can clearly hear the bronze bell that's adorned on this CNJ engine. There's a crossing at each end of this station. Tremendous improvement with that new horn on that engine. 4109 has had a number of horns. It had a K5LA after the repaint, then a Leslie RS3L, then a crappy K5LA, and now thankfully it has this beautiful K5LA. Then we got off trade 1159 at Glen Rock as the 4109 fades off into the distance. Much better K5LA horn on them now. And the pleasant hamlet of Glen Rock, New Jersey has two stations. This one on the Bergen County line, which is called Glen Rock Borough Hall. And a short walk from here in that direction is Glen Rock mainline. The mainline serves that. And we catch a Waldwick train stopping at the mainline station. It's not that far away. They join up together a little ways west of here at Ridgewood Junction. Now, 133, the gates are going down for train 62. Makes an all-stop. It's an all-stops locals from Port Jervis to Hoboken. Let's see what interesting power he has on the rear. Most of the Port Jervis trains tend to have the classic EMDs. Served by a Metro North painted F40PH-3C. That's a former New Jersey Transit F40PH-2 Cat. Well, we're now at the Glen Rock mainline station on the old Erie mainline. You're looking at the stone-carved Glen Rock station here, which was built in 1905. So 19, the gates are going down on Main Street. Actually, this is Rock Road that crosses the tracks. This is train 1118 from Suffern to Hoboken. Time is 2:20. ALP45DP. The cab car on that was 6,000. That's probably one of the loudest cab cars you'll hear with the K5LA. The Marine Corps engine as he stops at Borough Hall. 2:28, here comes train 1213 stopping at the mainline station. Right from Hoboken to Waldwick. Sounds like another DP. But it's an interesting one. tell you, I'm not crazy about the ALP45DPs. I've had my fill of them up in Montreal not too long ago, but that Autism locomotive looks really spiffy. And that K5LA horn, oh man, that was as pure as a driven snow. That's really the only thing about those engines that I really like. Ah, here comes something interesting, westbound at 243. This is definitely the longest H55 I ever saw, and I'm wondering what it will be resembled as when it becomes a Union Pacific local. Since there are no restrictions on what kind of power can lead on a freight train through here, you could see some pure, unadulterated Union Pacific Armor Yellow Jeeps pulling this train. Power is a GP38-2, a GP38-3, and another GP38-2. First unit was an original PC Jeep 38, second unit was an original Southern GP50, and the third was an original Southern Railway GP38. Okay, 310 approaching on the main line is train 49. Hoboken to Middletown, New York. I'd be willing to bet he'll have the Metro North painted 4906, their lone GP40-2. Fortunately, I'm not a betting man. Earlier in Hoboken, I saw the 4906 on track 1 with 3 cars, so made me believe that might be 49's consist. A lot of times 49 leaves off of track 1. Hey, 315, gates are going down here at mainline station. Train 1120, suffering to Hoboken. I'm thinking he might have the CNJ on the rear. Let's see. Got a crappy horn, that's for sure. Great engine. Nice paint scheme, bronze bell. Now 3:28. Gonna leave Glen Rock and go to the next stop west, Ridgewood. Hang around there for a bit. Catch train 11:15 from here to there. One stop. Looks like we got trash on the front and a PL42. Ridgewood, here's 1174 coming in from Suffern to Hoboken. Everything goes through here. Your Bergen County and mainline trains merge just west of here at the junction, or east of here, I should say. Here comes 1220 from Waldwick to Hoboken. And we have the Autism ALP45DP shoving. .407 approaching his train 1161, Hoboken to Suffern. Looks like more garbage. Yep, garbage, but at least it sounds like an EMD when it starts up. Unmistakable sound of a 710 16-cylinder General Motors power plant. There aren't many of those left running around on New Jersey Transit. Looks like he's got an F40 on him. Nice K5LA. I think this is one of the cats. Yep. I saw 4119 earlier on a Hoboken bound train. This and the 4119 powered the 40th anniversary excursion to Bayhead. EMDs, they go on and on and on and on. 428, here comes 1122 from Suffern to Hoboken. Some of the cab car horns on these sound pretty good. The 6000 is terrific, that's very loud. The 6050 on the other hand is vexatious in the extreme. Shoving is one of Metro North's F40PH-3Cs. Right behind him should be 66 from Middletown to Hoboken. Well, stopped at Ridgewood at 436 is train 66, Middletown, New York to Hoboken. This equipment went out as train 47 earlier. This train is nicknamed the R train. Why? Because after Suffern to Secaucus, it only stops at stations that begin with the letter R. Ramsey, Route 17, Ridgewood, Radburn, Fairlawn, and Rutherford. Hoboken Port Jervis. F40 PH3C 4907. Great K5LA on him. 540, this is 1357, arriving from Hoboken, and he terminates here. One of the 10 remaining PL42ACs on the roster. 23 out of the 33 unit order have been put out to pasture. I just finished dinner at the Steel Wheel Tavern. Steel Wheel Tavern's insignia resembles the Chicago Northwestern logo. A little plagiarism there. The food was good, the drink was generous, but the tab was a bit extravagant. GP40PH-2B 4215. He went out on 49 up to Middletown. He's dead heading back to Hoboken. And at 5:48, approaching his train 55 for Port Jervis. I missed 53 while I was having dinner. And also while I was having dinner, train 1319 came in from Hoboken, which terminates here and deadheads back. He had the Conrail 4208. Oh, the pain, the pain. I'm wondering if maybe he'll come back again on another Port Jervis train or something. But this guy has a nice K5LA horn. Looks like he's got a Jeep, as most of the Port Jervis trains usually do. Either that or the F40s. GP40PH-2B4218. For you folks that like these EMDs that run around on New Jersey Transit, as well as the Metro North painted ones, check out my YouTube videos which highlight each of those locomotives types. The GP40PH-2s, the GP40PH-2Bs, the New Jersey Transit F40PH-2 Cats, as well as the Metro North GP40FH2s and the F40PH-3Cs. I've gotten every single one of those locomotives. Let me rephrase that last statement. I've gotten every single one of those locomotives that are in passenger service. There are some GP40PH-2s which are used in work train service and are not in revenue service. They're pretty much GP40-2s. 6:03, got a couple of trains outbound due in, one after the other. This 1167 from Hoboken to Suffern. He runs via the Bergen County. And behind him is 1221 from Hoboken to Warwick, which uses the main line. This looks like junk. Historically, this train usually runs with junk. Tolerate the junk when it's painted like this. I see 1221's headlight right behind this guy. Well, time is 6:12. We have a train heading into Hoboken here. Looks like he's got an interesting ALP45DP on the rear end. Sounds like a very high-powered vacuum cleaner. A BL-20 on steroids. At 6:13 p.m., approaching his train 57, Hoboken to Port Jervis. This train goes via the main line to this point. GP40FH2 4905 leading that charge. This is 1269 Hoboken Warwick. Was train 1269 Hoboken Warwick. 6:30 arriving is 1169 Hoboken Suffern. Another DP. Some inbound equipment train approaching. Warwick bound train at 6:47. Train 1271 Hoboken Warwick via the Bergen. Coming is train 59 en route from Hoboken to Port Jervis. He goes non-stop Secaucus to Harriman, New York. Train 59. We're waiting is train 1128 from Suffern to Hoboken, being shoved by Bluebird GP40PH-2 4101. Shoved by the Bluebird, 4101. Light rain. This is 1171 to Suffering, 654. Approaching at 7:01 is train 61 from Hoboken to Port Jervis. At 7:28, our last Port Jervis train that we'll see here is 63 from Hoboken. In fact, this will probably be the last train I see, period, here. Had an interesting day. Saw the Autism engine several times. Saw the 4101 Bluebird, the 4109 CNJ a couple of times. Saw the Conrail. Saw the 4502 Armed Forces unit. Interesting day. I have a feeling this train will have an F40. Well, that had a favorite of a local rail fan. Engine 4909 F40PH-3C as one of the best horns of the F43C fleet. Get some Amtrak trains here at Secaucus. Amtrak 136 Washington to Springfield went by before. Here comes 80, the Carolinian. From Charlotte, North Carolina to New York.